it's me. God, what have I done today? Hello? Hello, hello? Alright. My ankles hurt. Got shin splints. I guess I'm gaining weight because it's like the more I run, the more my ankles feel the strain of having to carry my immense weight of roughly 145 pounds. I don't know how many kilometers or kilograms that is. Not kilometers. I don't weigh anything in kilometers. Let's see. Okay. Let's get started. Man, I have like a headache today as well. Don't know what's going on. That's why I'm late. Alright, let's get started. Bum, bum, bum. Here we go. Try this. Alright, so we hit this breakpoint, and then we'll hit this breakpoint. This is the same breakpoint. Yeah, I mean, send me. So we'll run into one error. You run into a few errors. Okay. That's good. So something in the node stack gets super messed up, and I'm not sure why. So for index and hanging open node indices, what I'm trying to do is figure out why this file, and let me see if I can find this file, yeah, why this to-do doesn't get processed, or the tag for this to-do does not get processed correctly. I'm not sure why, but what I can tell from debugging is that this GDML doesn't get closed properly, which is interesting, I suppose, because we can also just take out this entire thing, right, and check again, and then observe that there are no hanging GDML tags anyways, which makes sense. And then this should process properly. I mean, yeah, so this processes properly. Something with the node stack gets super messed up though. So this is correct. Thinking. I'm thinking. Hold on. So take out this to-do. That's fine. So for some reason, this doesn't get processed as hanging. And then this, we run through this again because we actually have a nested GDML. Or I wonder, loaded GDML. Wait a minute. What is in the loaded GDML? This should just be a label. And then that one label. So this is our node stack. Send me generate layouts. That's fine. Send me here. Boom, boom. Which file is this? This is text.xml, which comes from Text.xml. When do I load in text.xml? Text.xml is text.xml. That's loaded in here. And then, okay. Do the generator stuff, return the outputs, handle elements. Yeah. Return the objects. Objects not null. Add the child, yeah. So, where are we here? This tag is VBox container, which means that we are. Boom. All right. That's tough. It's weird. It's weird because it appears that this thing never gets called. This thing never gets called, which is very strange. It's very strange. So let me see. Let's just put a breakpoint here. Boom. So this is tag loaded GDML handle attributes. Step into that. Has attribute source. Yep. Handle source attributes. Step into that. There's our scripts. Script name. So we look for it. Instance is still null, because that makes sense. We shouldn't have anything called loaded GDML.gdml. So there's no temporary instance, there is no regular instance. And then here we need to handle. Oh, we have 5 errors already? Wait a minute. When did this happen? When did this happen? Ooh, restart me. So boom. Boom. I'm a little unclear as to where we are right now. Oh, okay. So this is the first one. This is the super. This is not the super GDML tag. Like, this is not the implicit one that kind of exists for every single XML or GDML file. There's one that's just unseen, if you will, because that's where we parent everything else to. Because you always need to have like a global scope. So we handle this one. That should be this tag because our, yeah, boom. Then we are processing this tag, text XML, which we've registered as a GDML file, or it points to a GDML file. Boom. Then this one. Yeah, and text.xml does not have. Yeah, it does not have a GDML node, so we never process this. So now this is the proper one. Oh, but then we have 5 errors after we hit that. Boom, boom, boom. So it's once we get to. Yeah, oh, okay. So there's something messed up here. I know what this means, I just don't know how to solve it. Like the obvious solution is to just look at the node stack and then figure it out. So the node stack, because we haven't got to generate layout yet, so this is just the raw collection of nodes. Let me see. This should be pretty later on. It's not really how you would say that expression, but that's okay. Label. GDML script. VBox container. Text XML. Okay, this is almost exactly where we want to be. Label, label. Label, label. VBox. We don't want anything inside the VBox, so we'll just keep clicking. Button, button, button. Lots of buttons. Tons of button tags, actually. Yeah, so this is just hanging. It just never gets hot. That is so weird. So at 39 roughly, at 39 roughly, I'm just losing my mind. This doesn't make any sense. So roughly 39. It might be a bit earlier than that now, but we can check 39. That's inner, that's a button. Oh, okay, so this is just GDML at 38. GDML style full, wait. So it's not 38, because that's referring to this one, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 34. GDML 34, or in this case, roughly object 1327. So what happened? All right, so we all we need to do, easy, is to check against. Is to check against the very, very last node. Or hold on, is it because the very last node gets processed twice? Please don't be that. Oh my god. What the heck? No, it is. It is because the very last node gets processed twice. Why? Why is the last... This happens sometimes. This happens sometimes. This happens sometimes. Where depending on how you process your file, or how you handle everything in your file, it'll get processed twice. I have very little idea as to why this happens, though. All right, so it's not quite that, but we're getting there. It's a different error. Okay, we can do this. So it's something to do with how I'm handling all this. That's tough. All right, so don't need to have anything else open, but I do need to have, or I do need to watch the parser here. And then hopefully also try this out on something that's a bit quicker. All right, nested GDML. All right, give me the deets on what's happening here. So nested GDML. We'll just run you instead. Break me. What is the last one? So we should have no. See, this one doesn't have a hanging GDML node at the very end, even though it follows the same. Ooh. See, this one's hanging for sure, 100%. Because this one's not nested. How does this happen? What's different with the files? These are structured the same way. Maybe it's just something with the reader that's a bit different. That's tough. Because there's a lot of weird corner cases that I need to handle. Or maybe what I should do is, before I even start processing the XML file, I need to... What I should do is actually strip the text. So like left strip, yeah, just strip the edges of the text. That might work. So like read path, all it does is actually just call like implicitly read buffer. Yeah. It's like I need to pre-process. That's tough, but I think it makes sense. I think that makes sense. So maybe in the future I should just never use a read path. Yeah, okay. Maybe in the future I just never call read path. So reader. There's our reader. Yeah. When do we do all the fun stuff here? Parser, parse. Input layout. Parser, parse. Here we open it. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is never use read path because we always need to clean it. And so we'll always strip edges of the entire file and then we'll do the stuff. Yeah. So here we'll do if is path, then var file. So if file open inputs read is not equal to okay, then we'll just return error code. Let's see, where is the error? Error. File open failure. Yeah, this is pretty much file open failure. Yeah, return file open failure. And then what we'll do is inputs is equal to file get as text, right? File get as text, and then we'll also just strip edges. So yeah, I think that's okay. Then here we'll do var error is equal to reader read buffer input to UTF-8. So we'll never ever use read path. So I'll actually take that out. Say goodbye. Wrapper around read buffer. We never. One sec. We never call XML parser open ... Since the file must be pre-processed anyways. E.g. if or expressions or range blah blah. Yeah, so we'll always do this to remove leading, trailing, new lines. I honestly do not know what the answer is. But I think this is a necessary step anyways. And then as a part of doing the necessary like cleanup, we also open ourselves up for doing like preprocessor expressions, or basically like HTML templates expressions. notes. Never call blah blah. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully this is more correct. So we can check this by just checking the last object. Oh baby. Okay. So it's more correct. I'm not sure what changed, but it looks better. Okay, so it's still not correct though. Fantastic. Fantastic. So generator. I need to look at the actual layout now, which is starting to become very painful. So layout, we have 6 script tags. I'm pretty sure like this is actually incorrect. So looking at this tag, this is a GDML thing. This should have a bunch of scripts attached to it. So hoist scripts, script tags. Oh, does it not hoist anymore? This should be hoisting. So now the hoisting logic is broken, probably because the layout is all kinds of messed up. So what does the layout look like? So script tags, blah, blah. 1, 2, 3, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, 18. Oh, it's at almost exactly 18 then, huh? Maybe not. This is using button script. Where is using button script? Did I count this wrong? GDML, that's loaded. Depth 2. So this is 1, 2. Wait, no. That should not be depth 2. What? This should be depth 3. So this got clobbered somehow. All right. So I thought we were more correct, but maybe not. So here, if we check, what was it? 38? Was it 38 the last time? 38. VBox container. Button. Using button script. No, this is it. VBox container, and then loaded GDML. Yeah. And then there should be an inserted one for at position 40. No, there's not. So it's still not detecting the hanging tag. Okay. So this one is hanging. Oh, but it's not. It's not. It's detected a completely different one, which is the first one as hanging. So how does that happen? How does that happen? So... Oh, I see. I see what happened. Is that this tag got matched to this tag, but I'm not sure how to track that. If that makes sense. Like if I want to track that, then I actually need to handle like depth tracking by myself. Because I need to pay attention to, I guess, the order of operations, if that makes any sense. Or what's the algorithm? Oh, hello, Knock. Hello. Congratulations on rolling a duck. It's just the duck in its unevolved form, though. It's a bar of soap. because someone requested it, and for whatever reason, whenever I re-export my stream overlay, I always just clobber the existing assets. It needs a CI pipeline that I don't have. But check this out. So look at this and be afraid of what I have created. But thank you very much for the subscription. Much appreciated. Started from the bottom, now we're here. I'm happy that you have found the chonk command. Yeah, I'm just working on this GDML. It's HTML style UI library. I'm trying to figure out why the parser is messing up, and I think I know why. But how are you, by the way? Check this out. Appreciate a good chonk. I bet you do. So look at that. So based off of this very long XML or HTML, because it's not XML compliant at all. Since I don't think you're allowed to just do tabs in XML, you have to use XML style tabs, which is just HTML escaped, I think. GTML. What does GT stand for? GDML makes sense to me. Godot. Godot text markup language. Yeah, I suppose that's possible, considering that GDML is already taken by CERN. But you know, they can come fight me if they want. So I think, what is it? GDML stands for like geometry. Geometry description markup language, but there's only so many 4-letter acronyms that are available. But yeah, so we can click on buttons, we do things JavaScript like, so we can hook up a bunch of things. We can also play Pong. So I've made a very, very scuffed version of Pong, just using completely written in this weird markup language format. Go 5. GDTML. It's kind of a mouthful. Gonna be honest there. But yeah, everything is open source. So if you want to see the monstrosity that this has become, it's all there. It's kind of cool. GDUIT. TML. Yeah, just rolls off the tongue. Real easy. But I don't know. Maybe I should rename it, if only because I've already committed to being kind of verbose, right? Since I'd also, at the current point in time, also just need to prepend all the built-ins, so the kind of namespace, so they don't conflict with any existing possible keywords that you may or may not have. TYRAGDUITML. Temuin's really awesome. if I could, I don't know, if you could figure out a really cool backronym. What would be a nice backronym? So Tyra Geduitimul, not the greatest sounding backronym. If we're just trying to make something that sounds cool. Just like how RPG does not stand for rocket propelled grenade. That's just a backronym for it. I think RPG just stands for RPG. So if there's a better backronym, so I don't have to call this GDML, I'm all ears. But what I'm trying to figure out right now is this. Is the fact that here, hanging open tags is technically valid, but what's happening is that it's matching this open tag. Like this should be a combination open break tag, but there's no way. And it's matching against this closing GDML tag. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I figure out what the stack looks like? Gosh darn, markup language. Possibly. I mean, if I made a version of this for like Unity, that might be okay. But I'm not sure what Unity's built-in UI thingy looks like. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've done Unity at this point. Man, I'm trying to figure out this. So what's the best way of handling this part? So in the reader, not the reader, it's the parser, I maintain just a little stack of my own. But maybe whenever I'm holding onto the stack, because it's a mini stack, so it's just a dictionary that contains tag names to just a stack. Oh geez. What do I add to this stack? Usually I try to add type annotations, but this time I didn't. Oh, it's array of node names, which are strings. Just call it FML, because I'm gonna assume you regret making this. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's surprisingly like powerful, right? It's surprisingly powerful. The only hard parts is freaking like parsing XML. Everything else seems to work, right? Everything else seems to be pretty sick. So you have the possibility of template scripts, or as I've been calling them, temporary scripts, so they don't get stored. So GDML temp is true, so they don't get instantiated. They just become available to use in the rest of the program. And of course, these get hoisted anyways. XML upset. XML isn't horrible, especially in the way that I'm doing it. It's not even compliant XML. It's beautiful if you think about it. It's like do you like writing inline JavaScript? Most people don't, but I do. So check this out. So we go to just like my website, right? No, this is not it. That's the server. Index.html. I just wrote a bunch of JavaScript inline. It's beautiful. Oh, this isn't even my thing. That's the outline effect. Everything done in 3JS. Look at my website, by the way. Have I ever shown you my website? It's beautiful. Oh, takes a little bit to load in. All of this is just written in line. How professional. Hey, inline anything? I actually like inline scripts. If they're not supposed to be, I don't know, like if it's supposed to be lightweight, and in this case, in my case, it is. It is very lightweight. It's also not actually running using the server. I'm just serving this directly using Nginx, which means that some of these links actually break. So like the website readme breaks because it's not using the server. I got very lazy when I deployed it. I was like, I got the Nginx configuration running, but like then I don't want to set up the cron job and all of that. So what if we just have it serve the file directly? Because I guess Nginx can also just work as a file server. I didn't realize that. I thought it just did file routing, or not, like it did request routing, but actually can also just serve a file. Tolerate inline CSS when hell has HTML rule. Is the devil? Well, I got bad news for you, buddy. I really like inline scripts, as you can see here. Nginx is pretty great. Nginx is pain. I dislike doing it, but if I have to, then I have to. So this is how my entire website works. Also, my website is not open source, unfortunately. Mostly because there's not a lot of reason for... I don't want other people to steal the look, even though it's just based off of pulling things from random CDNs. But we're doing inline CSS or inline Godot styles, and we're also doing inline scripts. So I'm trying to make that work. So here, what I need to figure out, so website everything is easy to steal. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming when you go to my website, it just gives you, but if you just inspect it, I guess, or just, why inspect it when we can just look at the source? Yeah, if you just look at the source, it's not even minified. So if you really wanted to steal my website, it is just here. Minifications for nerds, etc., etc. Around is to use WASM. I could make my website use WASM. That's, you know what? You know what? That's interesting. That's interesting that you bring that up. Because what I was thinking for this program, is I could make a runner for this, so you can just drag and drop in whatever you want, right? So if you dropped in like a folder containing a bunch of XML files that reference other XML files, but because of that, it should work in WASM because Godot supports HTML5. So all I need to do is serve a runner plus a default XML that contains my website. Just do the entire layout like that. Oh, that could be cool. That could be cool. It would be very strange as well. I'm kind of into it. Because if I want to, I guess, generate interest for this as well, I think I do need to make a runner. And I think that's kind of cool, right? Is the fact that I can listen for like an on files dropped signal and then just generate everything at runtime, because everything just happens at runtime, right? So here's like the everything thing. So what I could do is, this could be the runner, or no, this is the GDML parser. Whenever you do a files dropped, we pass in that folder as like a context path. So I guess we'll need to store it in like a virtual file system somewhere. This isn't possible when you're loading things dynamically, but this is how I have custom nodes just kind of inserted into here. So count up, count backwards, text XML. But on file is dropped, we store whatever you dropped into the virtual file system, set that as the context path, and I suppose we'll just look for like an index.xml and then generate that as the current website. But by default, we'll serve my own website, so it'll be all WASM. That'll be so sick. That'll be so sick. If only because like the most popular personal projects of mine are all Godot based. It's cool though, isn't it? It's cool. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if it's cool, but it's interesting. It's interesting in a very terrifying way. It's something. Yes, it is definitely something. It is a thing. Well, let me think. I need to think about how I'm going to handle this. Because I'm assuming as well, like if I were to put, for one of these buttons, I put like just an inner open close button for no reason. And then we can do something like GDML style is equal to text is equal to open close button. something like that, this is technically valid. That's technically valid. So that will also break. That will also break. So it's almost like I need to do like 2 reverse passes for looking for hanging open nodes. Because in this case, we do button, open tag button, close tag button, but then we hit this nested inner button that will have text open close button because we can set it using GDML style, which just accesses like the Godot property and sets it directly, which is why GDML style and GDML props are aliases of each other, or GDML style is just an alias of GDML props. So text is a property on a Godot node. But what happens is we'll push this onto the stack button script. Then we'll push this onto the stack. Then when we hit the close tag, we look for the last button tag on the stack and then push it off, which means this is what happens, which is incorrect. That's not actually what we want. So how do I solve that? How do I solve that? There's no way to check to see if it's an open close node because Godot's XML parser is a bit too primitive for that. It's like the only way around this is to just mandate that you don't use the shorthand. Really think you should use a better XML parser? Yeah. There is no better XML parser. Unless I roll my own, but I don't. Writing an XML parser is tough. Writing an XML parser is tough. Because the logic can get kind of complicated, right? Native code, but then it won't deploy everywhere, which is the problem. Like the nice part about doing this all via like built-in Godot stuff is that I can do the WASM thing. It's easy to compile to WASM and export to WASM, I should say. So it will just work everywhere, which is nice. I suppose the reason why I haven't noticed this before is because this open close script is at the very top. Everything else gets closed in a sensible way. So everything gets parsed in a sensible way. So this is something that's been a problem for a while. Maybe I can do a pre-pass. I'm not a huge fan of it though. I can do a pre-pass and just look for. I guess because I'm already doing a pre-pass step, right? Because do you know how like string or file templating works in most languages? I suppose. Bad question. But the idea is I'm gonna follow how Go does templates. Check this out. One of these. Not one of these. Where is it? Something like this. So we can do like if statements. We can do range statements. And so that will require a pre-process step. So what I could do is just have like a very, very primitive pre-process step. That one will look for these open close tags. And so I guess I need to figure out if it's a valid open close tag or if it's just like a regular piece of text. And then also handle like the this fancy syntax, which I'm unreasonably enamored with. You'll end up writing a bad XML parser. Yeah, but like I don't have a better XML parser. I don't want to write my own parser though. Cause I could do like a GD script only parser. Like it's at this point it's not because of the performance penalty, it's more like it's gonna be tough. Just ban self-closed tags. I wanna see if I can make it work though. I like the syntax of self-closed tags, right? I like the syntax. Yeah, what I really should do is error on because there's no way to know if it's a self-closed tag, right? Self-closed tags and open tags are processed as the same tag, which is tough. So it's like this is the like the last what's the word? Banning self-closed tags is the last resort, yes. So I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a better way around this. So let's comment this out. I think what I have so far is pretty okay. So we'll store state. Where are we at? By the way, if you're still around, Nock, do you use a visual Git UI? Like Git Kraken or whatever? I know Git Kraken's pretty popular. Oh, CLI only. Okay. I was getting a lot of flack. Like I think it was last week about how I use a a CLI tool, or I only use Git CLI. I was like, I don't know. Like I felt like a lot of people used only the CLI, but I don't know. Maybe the kind of programmers that also watch Twitch streams also tend to value GUI tools. I don't know. I know I'm not crazy because I had to use this for work, but maybe I should look into using a GUI tool if it's really that much better. Even though I know how to use the CLI tool pretty well. But what are we doing? Git commit. I don't even know what the difference is. No, did you get flack for using a CLI? Good developers, all the best of the world live in the terminal. This is true. This is true. That's why I don't use Vim and instead use VS Code. I like the terminal for sure, though. I should take the leap and just use NeoVim or something. Just go for like an entirely Vim-driven workflow. Maybe once I like start hating programming, I'll do that. I use Vim in the terminal. I also use Vim in the terminal, but I don't use it as my main code editor. Alright, I know that you can't git diff here, unfortunately. Let's just say better stack logic add loaded GDML example. So I'll push. By that fact, although I claim to be better than you. I use Vim in the terminal, thank you very much. I don't use it as my editor, but I do, you know, if I need to write a thing, or if I need to squash some commits, I'll definitely use Vim in the terminal. If I need to make a really quick change to a file, you know, I'm pretty good at it. Especially since my keyboard has the escape key programmed to be the tab key. That's my main driver. Oh, so you're a psychopath. Is that it? Have I use caps lock? I also use caps lock. Look at that. Have I shown you the keyboard I've been using recently? Check this out. I use one of these from Drop, as I'm a consumer whore. It's out of stock, very sadly as well. Caps lock as escape, I mean. Oh, okay. Oh, did I say tab? I meant I have escape on caps lock, not tab. I have one of these. You can't buy it from this site anymore, though. You said tab. I apologize. Speaking is hard. Ortholinear again, but no number row. Now I just have 2 numpads on different layers. Would we want to try one of those these days? Yeah. Ortholinear, pretty sick. 10 out of 10. It does kind of mess up, like, I guess if you're used to touch typing like numbers, it will really mess with you. Lunchtime over. All right, take it easy, Knock. I'm going to continue kind of talking my way through this problem here, but thanks for hanging out. Much appreciated. Good luck with XML. It's not XML, it's GDML. It's totally different. It's not XML. It's, if anything, it's SGML. It's not compliance. Let's see. I'm thinking through this. So how would I tell? So these are all self-closing. This will match to this tag, which is kind of incorrect. So maybe once I do the depth pass, or I should do like my own depth pass. Yeah, maybe I should do a depth pass. Or how does... Alright, give me one sec. Maybe I'll just look at the Godot code. So, Godot. We'll look at... I'm still on 3.4. I'm not on the latest 3.4 though. I should actually update to 3.4.4 stable. But I think it's in I don't know, XML parser. What is it called? Where is it? Core IO, XML parser, C++. Set text, parse. What does, where's read? Is it not read? I thought it was read. Or is it read node? No, there's read. Yeah. Read, yeah. Parse current node. Then it returns an error, that's fine. Move forward until that is actually, hold on, this might be pretty easy to do. If that's just the logic. Oh, but this uses pointer logic as well, which is very scary. Based on current token, parse and report next element. So what is capital P? Capital P is capital P. What? what is capital P? What the heck? XML parser, C++. XML parser. So I'm assuming this is defined on the class. So big P is just a character pointer. Okay. But wait, how do... Oh, it's this part. God, I hate pointer stuff. And then they dereference the pointer to look at it. Okay. That's tough. Parse opening, parse closing. Based on current token. Report the next element. Parse C data. If not parse C data, then parse a comment. So it looks for an open tag. Okay. Default parse opening. Okay. So node element, and then we have no way of knowing if this is what is this? If tag is closed directly, then node is. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's how it works? So if the node tag is closed directly for the open tag, then it will pass node empty as true? Really? Is that something that's exposed in XML parser? Is node empty? Is empty? That's not true. I've tried this before. Yeah. Are you not allowed to do self-closing nodes like that? Is that not how that works? What's the XML, what's the HTML spec for that? HTML self-closing tags. So yeah, give me a list of HTML self-closing tags. Okay, so that's for XHTML, but we're not handling this. Let me see. Accepted void elements. So break is what I'm familiar with, but this one I'm a little less. Depends on the type of elements. And HTML elements are designated. Designated? Is that how you spell designated? That is how you spell designate. And void elements. An element that existed before HTML5 was for to have any contents, and tags are simply forbidden. Other HTML elements, the slash is an error, but error recovery will cause browsers to ignore and treat the tag as a regular start tag. Okay. Okay, so, that's tough. That's tough. So maybe I will just have to say, like, it's not valid. Maybe I do just have to say it's not valid. Because that's kind of tough, right? I don't have any way of detecting if it's self-closing or not. So if we go to the reader, we can go to the reader and say, like, we can just check. So if nd node name is equal to GDML, so then we'll print, was it is empty? Is empty? send me. So none of these are empty tags. But I guess this one is just not... Wait. Nah, this wasn't saved. Alright, send me. Okay, so if it's empty... But wait a minute. Maybe that's the secret sauce I've been missing. Maybe that's the secret sauce. So if I do the same thing for a different file, so we go to Pong, run this. Yeah, that's false. Nested GDML, that should also be all false. But then if we just run this one, we should run into an error. Okay, so maybe it does tell me if it's an empty tag, even though that's completely false. So in the reader, and then, okay, we'll need to go to node data. Maybe this is what I've been missing all along. So var is empty is false. So we can do if is empty, nd is empty is equal to true. If the tag is self-closing, not necessarily empty. And then in the parser, we can check to see if it's empty. And if it is empty, then we'll try to self-close it, I suppose. Although that's not always true either. Because some tags are just empty just because. So let me print the nd node name as well and just see which ones are processed as empty. So GDML, script, count up, count backwards, text XML. Those are all empty, yes. Maybe that's valid. Yeah, actually, no, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That's almost exactly what I need. Based off of this anyways. Yeah, maybe I've just been reading this wrong. So based off of the outputs, we can compare it against what I currently have in everything.xml. So our first one should be GDML script, which is this one. Count up, count backwards. These are technically not empty, but they do have attributes associated with them, which is kind of weird. That might not be totally correct, but that's okay. Text XML is also processed as empty. There's GDML. There's an inner button as well. Yeah, there's an inner button, which should also break a bunch of stuff. Then these references are all empty tags. Okay. Maybe I'm just dumb and I just never needed to do this. So this is a good thing for refactoring. So this is node name is empty. It's not actually like is empty. So is empty. So is open is empty. That's fine. So if it's an open tag, so we only care about if they are an open tag. So we can do, what's the node stack? Stack? I guess we can do, so if data is empty, then we will not append it to the node stack. Or we will append it to the node stack, right? We'll always append it to the node stack, no matter what. So we'll switch this around. So we'll always append it to the node stack. But then if it's empty, then we will... Or if it's not empty, then we'll append it here. Else we'll generate a new node data. So var close node data is equal to node data new. So close node data. What did I call it? Copy as close data. One of these. So then that shouldn't be hanging at all, maybe. And so we don't even need to have this this hanging whatever. Or it's still possible we'll still have hanging tags. I think that's okay. But this catches the majority of cases. So we'll run this again. Hey, okay, well, is empty. Non-existent function is empty in base reference no data. Does this not exist? Is empty. Yeah. If not data. What is data? What do you got? Oh, it's not a function. Sorry. It's a property. Oh, okay. Cool. Neat. It's kind of jacked up for sure, but I guess that was it, huh? I guess that was it. So is empty, is open, is empty. Yeah. I suppose I didn't realize that that's how is empty works. It just looks for the closing tag. So you can have an empty node, but that still has attributes associated with it, which is interesting. So we should hit 3. There we go, boom. Right, that was 1, 2, 3. Then continue on out from the third one. Where am I placing the close button though? I suppose the close button is not actually valid anyways. I think that's pretty good though. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm gonna go refill my drink. I'll be right back. Hello. Back at it. So I think this is pretty good. So loaded GDML, loaded GDML.gdml. It's just a label plus whatever. So it just kind of gets placed in super haphazardly. So what I can do here in everything.xml is actually give this an attributes. So GDML props. Should be style actually, but that's fine. So we'll put margin top, I don't know, 100 or something like that. Where is it? Loaded GDML. Oh, it's because it's a VBox thingy. What is close button? Open, oh, that's why open close, because it's nested on top of it. Okay, that's fine. That's why it looks super jank. But loaded XML, that's also pretty good. The problem with GDML nodes is that you can't, like this, they're just control nodes, so they don't nest very well inside of other files. So let me see. In the generator, or actually before we do that, git status, git commit, fix self-closing nodes. That feels pretty good. But here, there's a few to-dos. Is this one of the to-dos? Yes, this does seem like a weird corner case. All right, so for GDML tags, what it does is it parses the instance and then just removes all the children and moves it over to the new child or the new object, which is technically correct. It's technically correct. Technically correct. Maybe what I could do is, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about how to handle this. Kind of on the fence about how to handle this. Because it is just a control node, like the control root inherits from control, I could have this just cast itself. So we could like have this preloaded as something else, not just a control. So if we had a different attributes called like cast, so there's all of these are the same more or less. Let me do, this is a alias of style. GDML temp, that's pretty good. Class and ID are not yet implemented, but we can do cast. That's pretty good. So GDML cast. Bum bum bum. So handle attributes. Let's see. Constants. This needs to be handled beforehand. I need to switch this before it actually goes to handle attributes, I think. How would I do that? Or it's almost like attributes should be like returned as like an array. So everything that we would be putting on it is like put onto a command stack. That's starting to get very complicated. Handle attributes is handled up here explicitly. Maybe this just should be like a corner case. So this is an attribute that we should explicitly ignore. So constants cast. Already handled. Yeah, so we can go up to here and handle that explicit attribute first. There's like there's a ton of corner cases for sure. I'll need to rethink some of the design afterwards, but I think for an MVP, it's not bad. Definitely not bad as an MVP. if tag has attributes. Wait, no. Tag if tag attributes has constants cast. Hold on. So var GDML, which is some sort of control. So if it has cast, then we'll try to cast it. Otherwise, we'll just use the defaults. One of these. Okay, so GDML. Or I guess what we'll do is we'll search for a valid Godot class. So handle element, we'll create Godot class name from tag. So if it is unsplittable, then we won't do anything at all. What does capitalize do? Changes the case of some letters, replaces underscores with spaces, adds spaces. Maybe I should. Maybe if you're not able to split it, I'll just assume that it's okay. So we won't capitalize it. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. So this should still run because I haven't changed too much. Oh, well, maybe not. Oh, good. Create class name from tag. Oh, hello, Needle Mouse. Hello, hello. How are you? How are you? How are you? I'm doing good. I'm just trying to figure out what to do. Same, to be honest. That's pretty much the story of my programming career. I guess what I can do, I want to program something, but I don't know what. You should make Pong. Pong is the easiest game to make, and it's very easy to start extending into like whatever the heck else you want, right? Pong in C, yes. Do it in C. You can use Raylib if you want. Raylib is actually a pretty good program if you want to just do whatever, right? Small ideas like that. Especially because a lot of things in Raylib are not, you know, passed by reference. Everything in Raylib is usually a passed by value, if I remember correctly. So you don't even need to think about pointers and all that. So yeah, there we go. Alright, so var cast name. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of C because it's just not worth it, in my opinion. It's just not worth it to learn C. I think if you learn something else with C-style syntax and you just understand what pointers are, then you'll know enough C to get by, which is pretty much the story of my entire career, right? Yeah, like you might have noticed, like I don't write too much C, but I still write actual programs. So it's like, yeah, Haven't needed to write C. And I don't foresee myself foresee myself needing to write more C, any C in the future. So GDML is equal to class db instance cast name. Otherwise, we'll try to do cast name is equal to create Godot class name from tag. So regex, and we'll pass in the regex, and we'll also pass in the cast name. I'm gonna change this. So change all occurrences. Create Godot class name. Create dates. Create Godot class name from string. That's closer to what it's actually doing. I want to try to compile Godot from source. I need a tutorial, so I'm going to do it tomorrow. I got bad news for you. I think if you need a tutorial for compiling Godot from source, you might be a little too far over your head. Because it's pretty easy to actually compile it from source. Especially on Linux, because all the stuff is just there in documentation, right? Godot compile. Just Godot compile, right? Compiling. So you'll be looking at compiling for X11, and then you just need all of this stuff. Pretty easy. And then it just gives you the one-liners for your distro. So you are probably Arch, which is why you also need to know which distribution you're using. It's pretty tough. Yeah. And then compiling, it's just there. I mean, that's the secret to programming, is that there isn't... Almost nothing is... Well, pretty much everything is actually spoon-fed to you, right? You just need to know what question to ask, which is something I try to emphasize, but... maybe it still has not gotten through to a lot of people yet. Give me one sec. Okay, so if class db class exists tag name, then object is equal to class db instance Godot class name, or no, this is just tag name. If object is still null, then we'll do all of this stuff. It's good. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. It's 9:39 right now. Is that supposed to be late, or like is that supposed to be late, or like are you going to a party, or like I guess like that is indeed a time for sure. I'm lazy, that's all. I'm just curious as to why you brought up the time. That's all. Also, like, totally exposing which time zone you live in as well. Since for me, it's actually 10:40 p.m., not 9:40 p.m. You know, central time zone detected. Class exists cast name. Then we'll do GDML is equal to a class db instance cast name. Let me see. But I'm in the ground? What does that mean, you're in the ground? Are you a zombie? Is that how you're talking to me? Did someone just recently put you in the ground? So you're like doing a Fallout New Vegas on me? Time is reversed. It's 3 deep 5 me, for sure. I don't quite understand, but you know. I'll let you do it. Let me see. I need to do like a try instance element. Or maybe this is okay. This is kind of gross. I'm not a huge fan of this. This should probably be refactored to do. This is gross. I love app images a lot. App images on Linux, pretty sick. Pretty sick. I don't usually use them, mostly because I'm not really a app kind of guy. I think on Linux, if I need something, I'll just use whatever's in the repository. So if the repository gives me an app image, I'll use it. But I like being able to use the package manager to do all the app management on my machine. Otherwise, it's kind of tough, right? Then you're put at an impasse. Usually on Linux, what I'll do is I'll have... I do the same thing on Windows, actually. So I'll have an app directory in my home directory, which is where I put anything that is custom compiled. I don't usually use app images, but I suppose that's where I would put them if I had one. But I don't know, just compiling everything yourself. The more you do a thing, the more you'll kind of internalize it in your head, which is good. Let me see. So this should be GDML. So this needs to be parsed as GDML, but then we'll want to cast it to... I don't know if this makes sense. GDML cast. So margin container. Maybe something like that. Hey. Okay. Here, then we need to check if GDML is null, then we'll just return. Or I suppose, yeah, this is just error is equal to failed cast. So region, bum bum bum. This is the generator, bad cast. So error is equal to error code bad cast. Should probably just return as soon as possible as well. So GDML set script control root. That's not how you spell root. One of these. Oh baby. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So you're able to cast a script if necessary. I'm not a huge fan of the syntax, but that works. Try to configure OBS so I can try to stream. I'm not familiar with OBS on Linux. On Linux, whenever I do OBS stuff, all I do is really all I really do is record. I don't know, but OBS configuration shouldn't be too much different on Linux like it is on Windows. I suppose you're using Endeavor OS though, right? Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it works on Arch. But it should be roughly the same. It's just like on Windows. All right. Well, then it should just be the same then, I guess. Yeah. Easy. I would assume. I've never streamed from a Linux machine though, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking on my butt. Faster than things better than on Windows. Linux is not necessarily faster. It's faster depending on a few factors. Right, like if you have a lot of daemons running in the background, it's possible Linux will actually be slower for you. Linux is not always faster out of the box. Or if you have, so if you are doing a lot of the customization stuff, like here's the secret truth that people don't want to tell you about Linux, but like, you know, I'm not here to lie to you. I could be here to lie to you if you want me to though. So if you have things like, if you have a Compton config, if you have like a Compiz config, or anything else that adds like fancy windowing or shading effects, it could still possibly be slower than Windows. So message, the stream is lagging. See, there we go. What I've found actually is that Firefox is slower for me on Linux than on Windows. But yeah, so there's a lot of things. So if you have Compton installed, or you have Compiz or whatever, it could be kind of slow. If you have lots of daemons running in the background, so if you are not compiling things yourself and you're instead relying on an installer for Linux, what it's probably doing is just launching a daemon in the background. So a daemon is just a background process that just kind of runs transparently. That could also slow down your computer. So on Windows, everything pretty much runs as a daemon, a background process, if you will. So Linux doesn't pre-install those, but you could totally mess yourself up by doing that. Firefox is the only choice for me. I like Chromium, actually. I like using Chromium. It's a familiar interface, and everything I want is just on there. Use Edge and it worked, but great with lags. Chrome or Chromium? I like Chromium. It's the Internet Explorer of the modern era. Nothing wrong with that. You know, if you're using a managed distribution, I'm not super familiar with what Endeavor OS is. You know, we can always look at it. Yep, that's Endeavor. Actually, talking about Arch Linux based OSs, I do actually need to format my OpenBSD laptop. So if you are into distro hopping, you might be interested in OpenBSD. It has a very sick logo. I'm a big fan of OpenBSD. It's one of these. Look at that. Just a big fish. Not a big fan of the Pepe though. But OpenBSD, pretty cool. That's what I have on my other laptop. But I do need to install Arch on it so I can do some testing. Because I don't have any Arch-based hardware devices. But let's see. Everything should work here. Looks good. Let's push it. So git commits. Or what's? Or I've already added everything. That's fine. Git commit. Add ability to cast GDML tags to specific control. Looks pretty good. So bad cast. A little Pac-Man that goes through when installing stuff. You know, you can do the same thing on like other things, right? Like it's just a little terminal script. Yeah. So if you really wanted something like that, what you could do is write your own. So if you were on like an apt-based system, basically Debian-based, or If you're a normie, you call it Ubuntu-based system. What you could do is write a low-level wrapper for apt-get, and then do roughly the same thing. It's not super duper difficult. I guess you would need to look. You would need to hook into the apt-get's lower level processes, and I say apt-get instead of just regular apt because I don't think apt exposes that kind of data for you. But it's just a little it's just a script that displays things in the terminal. Among Us. I think there used to be like a Hannah Montana OS. Do kids nowadays still know about Hannah Montana? Hannah Montana before Miley Cyrus got super popular. Have you ever noticed you've never seen Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus in the same room? Really makes you think. But I think this is pretty good. This is pretty much the end goal, whatever the heck I'm doing. So you're able to just show off what I've been working on. One, you can do inline scripts. They also do not need to be tabbed properly as well. So you can see that this one is just tabbed, I guess, in GD script style. It's kind of weird. It also completely breaks formatting, but that's fine. You can do loaded scripts. You can do bad nested scripts. So these just gets pushed out. So the program just kind of figures out what to do. So you cannot have a script nested inside another script tag, but that's part of the, I guess, the format, right? This is technically okay. You should not do this, but it's okay. You can have styles. You can load in external scenes. So count up, count backwards, and text XML are all external scenes that are registered before generation happens here, right? You can just define nodes. So this uses a VBox container GDML style, which sets the anchor properties to full rect, which is the full screen, or the full viewport. This inline script is attached to the parent node. Very cool. And then you can also do GDML, just load in a random GDML thing. So loaded GDML, this is what I'm loading in, just a random label. And then this GDML cast, it casts this node from a control into a margin container. Also pretty neat. So I can also demonstrate that this will work for margin container as well. If you just want to use snake case for everything. Should work, yeah. So loaded GDML is loaded in twice. It's actually also pretty fast. Yeah. So loaded one. Or loaded snake case. Look at that. Pretty sick. Pretty sick. Pretty sick. Everything works. That feels good. That feels good. I finally got everything working. Finally. So git commit. Yeah, but I think if you're using an Arch-based distribution, you should become more technical as soon as possible, because I think that's the benefit of using an Arch-based distribution, is that it's cutting edge. You are bleeding edge even. You cannot get more bleeding edge than Arch. I guess Clear Linux, if you've heard of that, technically got the latest GNOME desktop environment before anything else, even before Arch. But that's different. But if you're using Arch or any bleeding edge distribution, it doesn't make any sense not to be technical. I think that's one of the few things that kind of like bewilders me about, you know, you'll have like Linux, you'll be, yeah, I use Arch. And it's like, yeah, okay. You know, to compile, like how many packages you compile yourself, and it's like, oh, I'm an Arch user, but I don't do any technical stuff. It's like, what are you doing here? This is not for you. What do you do when you ever run into a problem? It's like, I just try to Google it. But what if it's a new problem? I guess I'm screwed. What are you talking about? I can't imagine just like being on an OS and not, like being on a bleeding edge OS and not knowing what you're doing. That's just completely bizarre to me. Add a second example of GDML casting. Alright, so I'll push this. I mean, that feels pretty good. Now what I can do is start work on the preprocessor, even though it's probably not a great idea. But everyone loves preprocessors. I say everyone, but that's like, maybe it's just me. Go templates. Go templates. Alright, so let's switch my scene to vert screen. There we go. This is what I'm looking at, is I'm basing all my templates ideas based off how Golang does it, mostly because that's the only templating system that I'm super familiar with. So we'll have the pre-parser. Yeah, so let's go and see Godot. Pre-parse. So there's the parser, so there, parser, process nodes, yeah. We'll have a pre-parse step. So we never just read from the file directly. We must always pre-parse it, which is the stripped edges. But then we can have like call it like a template, GD. So this will be based off of the Golang style of template handling, I guess. So let's see, I'm not going to include this one. I think I'm going to include comments, maybe. Okay, so yeah, let's start. I like the idea of a pre-parser or a pre-processor. So a template system based off of Godot, or not Godot, Golang. So pre-process step based off of this. Let me see. So this is if pipeline blah. If the value of pipeline is empty, no output is generated. Otherwise, T1 is executed. Empty values are false. 0, any nil pointer or interface value, and any array, slice, map, or string of length is 0. All right. And then we have if the value of pipeline is empty, T0 is executed. Otherwise, T1 is executed. Dot is unaffected. What the heck is dot? And there's else if blah blah. Yeah, I guess like if else if is just a fancy if else. So let's see, range, the value of pipeline must be an array, slice, map, or channel. How do channels work in Golang templates? That's weird. The value of the pipeline has length 0, nothing is output. Otherwise, dot is set to the successive elements of the array, slice, or map, and T1 is executed. If the value is a map and the keys are of a basic type with a defined order, the elements will be visited in sorted key ordered. Okay. Break. The innermost range pipeline loop is ended early. Continue. Template name. Template with the specified name is executed with nil data. Template with the specified name is executed with dot set to the value of the pipeline. Is there a better what is dots? Package template that implements data-driven templates for generating textual output. To generate HTML output, see package HTML template, which has the same interface as this package, but automatically secures HTML output against certain tags. Templates are executed by applying them to a data structure. Annotations of the template refer to elements of the data structure, typically a field of the struct or a key and a map to control execution, derive values to be displayed. Execution of the template walks the structure and sets a cursor represented by a period called dot. Okay. So the value of the current location in the structure as execution proceeds if the input text for a template is UTF encoded text in any form. Actions, data, evaluations, or control structures dashes are delimited by. Okay. All text outside actions is copied to the output unchanged, except for raw strings. Actions may not span new lines, although comments can. Okay. Sure. Sure. All right. I mean, I like this one more than like how Django does it. I think the dot output is a bit confusing though. So maybe what I can do is, what I really should be doing is writing tests, but I'm not gonna do that because I'm lazy. So for something like this, oh geez, something like this, what we can do is have like a pre-parse step. So it's similar to how Golang does it, but not really. So this is the pre-parse step, right? So we'll do we can do like this is like the configuration section almost. So the configuration section is different because it must be. I guess it can be technically placed wherever you want, but you can only ever have one configuration. Otherwise, I don't know which configuration to use. But you'll do. This is where we'll register values in the script to be used later on. So we'll do like, should show is equal to true. Right, so these are the configuration values. This is done in the pre-parse step, and then in GDML, or not GDML, in your actual implementation, you can also override these values, but these are just the default values that should be expected. So this will be parsed as GD scripts, basically. I think that, yeah, that makes sense to me. So these should be parsed beforehand so that the XML parser does not accidentally run into this and then just completely freak out. So variable with an initial value. And so this must be a valid GD script as well. We can also have var, like input string, variable with injected value, something like that. So yeah, this is like the configuration block, which is just square brackets. I'm kind of into that. And then what else do we want to do? Hold on, I'm receiving a text message. Still receiving a text message. It's kind of tough. Why do people text me? Or maybe it's not like text is the wrong word for it, but it's like, why do people message me this late at night? I know why, but give me one sec. It's work related. Everyone loves work at 11 p.m. at night. Let me see. I think this is good, by the way. So we parse this as GD scripts, and then this is used as the kind of the dot syntax, and then everything else is based off of basically calling this syntax. So you can also define like functions and whatnot, but then some other things like the range or whatever, the if statements are actually parsed as like completely custom. I think that makes sense. All right. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Is that the dot syntax will always apply to whatever the configuration thing is. So you'll always have a configuration step. Configuration code. So this can actually be placed wherever you want in the file, but you should always try to place it at the top. But that, you know, I'm not the boss of you. So is true. Guess what this returns? It returns true. Phenomenal. So this will be parsed as part of the pre-parse step, and then you can do something like this. So we'll do like if dot is true. And if. I prefer doing like an explicit end. So like this is very, I don't know actually. Because that's also not how, it's not really how like Lua or even, yeah, Ruby works, right? I guess we can do it like shell style. So like if and then phi. No, I hate that. We'll do end if. Yeah, so we'll do something like that. So the dot syntax will always just apply to this global configuration value. So every single parse step will always have a global configuration piece of code that also manages it. I think that makes sense. Right, and then you can also do like script injection. So we can do like here. So print, and then we'll do boom boom, and then we'll inject in input string. Something like that. Which is an example of string injection. Root level script with injected variable. I think that's a good syntax. I think I like that syntax. The harder part is doing like the for loops. I'm not sure what to do about that, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong with like injecting in labels. Because this is also supposed to just be like very basic markup syntax as well. I need to think about this. I need to think about this some more. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm not gonna push this code just yet because it's gonna break 100%. But you know, I'll be live tomorrow from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, working on this kind of stuff. Give the channel a follow if you haven't already. There's a Discord in the chat. There is the GitHub, etc., etc. If you're interested in any of the pieces of software I've been working on, what I'm working on is basically the UI front end for this application here. So we'll see how that goes. It's more or less feature complete, but this is the last really cool feature I would like to have, which is the templating system. But you know, goodbye.